Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well this Monday. It's been a while. I've been off this weekend, off from this, but I will continue. We have to pick it up from where we left. Again, I'll spend approximately an hour, maybe 30 minutes, depending on how things go. As you can see, the topic is Babu Owino versus Sakaja Johnston spat on Twitter this past few days, and also the issue of Odious death. Okay, I won't delve deep into the Sakaja Johnston saga and Babu Owino because there's nothing really there to it's just them going against each other on Twitter, exposing each other on some about some personal stuff that the public may not be in the public's interest. Okay, but we'll delve into it and see what this is all about. Okay, if you're new to this, please search me on YouTube. My name is Kenyan Revolutionary, and just subscribe. Okay, make sure subscribe, share, like, and tell your friends about what's going on right now. Because, like I say, I usually have live at least an hour every day. I try to make it every day. Sometimes not every day. Like I say, I missed the past 2 days. So, but tune in. If you want to join, okay, there's the link on the chat. Let me just highlight it. Okay, join the studio if you want to. Today, join the studio. Click the link, and you'll be on. Turn on your camera and just get on. Okay, there it is. Let me highlight it so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. Why is it not showing my? Sorry, I'm just trying out different things here. Okay. So bear with me. All right, I have the one I want. Okay. All right. There's the one I was looking for. So if you want to join the link, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, there's the link. I'm having issues with the comments. Okay, there you go. All right. Enter the I don't think that's the there you go. That's the one I was looking for. So if you want to join in, there is the link. You can enter the studio. Sorry, I've wasted 3 minutes talking about links. I'm trying to be very, very economical with time. But let's see what we have here. All right, we are live there. But anyway, get into the topic today. As you see, Sakaja versus Babu Owino. There's already this race have started, I guess. If you can see, apparently these guys have started going at each other's neck. Babu Owino challenging Sakaja about the alleged corruption. Babu, I won't read the tweets because like I said, I really don't want to go into this because I don't think both of them look good on this. I'm more disappointed with Sakaja, because he actually started this thing insinuating that Babu Owino, is a cocaine sniffer. And Babu Owino actually owned up to it and said, hey, listen, I used to smoke weed, I used to do coke, I used to drink, and I stopped at 2018. I'm a changed man, whatever the case is. It just got personal, which is, I know, for those who enjoy personal stuff like this, if you like celebrity gossip, you might find it entertaining. if you only cared to see who is more a governor material in this 2027 gubernatorial race, there was nothing to it. I just thought at first, Sakaja, he kind of clarified what was going on, the allegations that Babu Owino was putting forth. He never denied about the whole thing about the visa, because if you guys remember, there was a news clip that suggested that Babu Owino, sorry, not Babu Owino, that there was a governor who was not allowed to go to the US because of the alleged corruption deals, whatever, corruption. So they were not allowed to go to the US. And Babu Owino basically said, hey, this must be Sakaja or something like that. I don't know how Babu Owino knew. I don't know how true that is. But the funny thing, Sakaja did not deny that. So it might be true. I don't know, to be honest with you. Then they started discussing issues, which I liked. Babu Owino said, hey, listen, this probably happened because of your corrupt deals, okay? And Sakaja corrected him and said, hey, you don't know the difference between the bursaries and whatever. The money was equal. Again, if you want to look at the whole exchange, go to their tweets, Sakaja and Babu Owino, follow them. You'll see all that stuff. I don't think that stuff is helpful because most of it turned into personal attacks. And once it turned into personal attacks, there was no real value. But if you love entertainment, yes, it's entertainment. But if you're looking at issue-based stuff, there's nothing really, worth enjoyable there, okay? But I would say this. The person who looked bad out of all this exchange between these two is Sakaja. You are the governor, okay? Even though Babu Owino is an Embakasi East MP, but Babu Owino, he seems to be, he seems to be young. Maybe because he's a tiny little bitty man, so you might think he's young, but I think he dragged Sakaja into this. He dragged into this fight, and he succeeded. He made Sakaja look bad. Sakaja was, he tried to kind of go back and forth, but he got into Sakaja's skin. And once he did that, Sakaja went personal, okay? And once Sakaja went personal, okay, we have Mr. Mark over here. Karibu Mark. Mark, what's going on? I see you're in. Can you hear me? Well, we can't hear Mark. Mark is out. Yeah, join in. If you have something to say, Mr. Mark, you can come back. If you want to say something, you have some contribution you want to make, feel free. It's a free forum, okay? But anyway, going back to what I was saying about Babu Owino. What Babu Owino managed to do in that exchange was to drag Sakaja to the mud. He attacked him. He said, you're the one who was corrupt, and the reason why they didn't let you go to the US is because of your corrupt deals as a governor. So, and Sakaja responded. But Sakaja should have responded to what Babu Owino was saying, that the issues that Sakaja was that Babu Owino was addressing, not the personal stuff, okay? Instead, Sakaja, he didn't address the whole thing. He did address it as far as the Babu Owino not knowing the difference between the bursary, whatever amounts and stuff like that. But after that, things went left, okay? And they started calling each other names, and everybody lost the plot, okay? But again, as like I would say this one more time. Sakaja as the governor, two things you should have done. You should have just addressed the issue, deny if it wasn't him or it was him regarding the whole visa thing, address that, then correct Babu Owino on the issue that he was bringing up about the money being lost, okay? Then after that, leave it at that. But instead, Sakaja started personal attacks. And once he started the personal attacks, you know, you cannot start a personal attacks. And when Babu Owino hits back, whether his allegations are true or not, you cannot say, oh, now I want to take the high road. I'll leave it at this, whatever. No. You already on the mud. He already pulled you in the mud. Finish it, okay? But all in all, like I said, it will be an interesting interview between this. I mean, a debate between these two. In fact, Sakaja and Babu Owino, if you're watching this, please, I would like to invite you in my live. There's the link. Hit the live. Hit the link. Come in. You can debate. I will be your moderator. I'll let you talk as long as possible. Not today, though, because I'm only here for an hour or 30 minutes, so I can't do it today. But we can organize. Come here and debate. Let's hear the issues and let Kenyans ask you questions at the comment section and everywhere else, okay? So all in all, if you ask me who really won between these two, there's nobody who really won. But if there's anyone who looks bad in this exchange, I think it would say Sakaja. Sakaja, we expected you to be above this nonsense. I told you before, Babu Owino does not mind getting in the mud. He can get dirty, okay? He's coming for your seat. Sakaja, he's coming for your seat. So you have to fight this guy strategically. You cannot let him drag you into his argument, into his pet, okay? He's the one coming for your seat, okay? If somebody is fighting you, you don't fight him in his own realm, okay? So if he was attacking you address him on the issues, all right? Do not get dragged into his personal stuff, talking about drunkenness, talking about all the drug use and all that stuff, okay? Just address the whole corruption thing and the visa denial and leave it at that. Keep it civil, okay? That was what we should have done. Don't start well, then get personal, and when things get hot, try, act like you want to take the high road, okay? No, it doesn't work the way. He already dragged you down. So all in all, Sakaja Babu Owino made Sakaja look bad. Sakaja looks really, there's a childish part of him, okay? He didn't look good at all. Should have let them, don't ignore him. Ignore Babu Owino. If I was you, I would ignore Babu Owino until we get to the debates. Because if you stand there in the debates, gubernatorial debates, there'll be no room for talking about drug use and all that nonsense, okay? There'll be none of that. It will be issue-based, okay? And as a politician, as a sitting governor, do not get to the gutter. And I'm talking about political gutter, where you have to talk about things that have nothing to do with the people of Nairobi, okay? You fail to do that. So Babu Owino has one on you. He did one on you, so he dragged you back, okay? But all in all, it's still up to, again, I said this before in my my previous live. I say that Sakaja, if you do not perform, okay? If you do not perform, if Nairobians do not see any meaningful change, measurable change, evident change, you'll be out. You'll be out. Okay? You'll be out. I'm sorry. You'll be out. Because the buzz is Babu Owino is the next governor. That's the buzz. Whether he has the numbers now or not, doesn't matter. The buzz is out there. People are talking about Babu Owino is going to be the next governor. Everybody's just saying that, But how do you counter that? You can't counter that by arguing with him on Twitter, calling him names and getting personal attacks on him. Let your work do the job. But if it's true that you are involved in some corruption, then you're doomed. The goose is cooked. Okay? So it's up to you, Mr. Sakaja. It's up to you. So far, the boy, Mr. Babu Owino, he's climbing that ladder and he's coming for your neck. He's coming. He's coming. Okay, he's coming. So prepare. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this this audit thing. There's a very interesting conversation that was going on between Miguna's tweets, and he was addressing all this about Odious debt, and also trying to address the whole issue of he was saying that, actually it was a really good tweet. If you go to Miguna's page, and we shall check it real quick and see what he was talking about. He was talking about saying that we should go for the money, that we should go for the people who have borrowed all these loans that we are actually going to pay IMF, that got us into this structural adjustment program. Okay, and I thought there's some things that we can actually there's some issues, there's some statements that I need to address regarding what Miguna was saying, because he is for the most part correct, but there's some things that I can correct him a little bit. Okay, so all right, let's go to what he was saying. Let me see. All right. If I had to take a global economic situation, okay, let's start with his I'll go down here. All right, let's see. Okay, now this is in response to he says something. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to find the right tweet so we can start this discussion based on that. Okay, there's something else I wanted to address real quick. In Miguna's page that he retweeted, this is a tweet by FCPA Bilo Carroll. It says, someone tell the government of Kenya that energy drives the economy. If fuel prices increases by 30% by February and mitigated, the domino effect on the economy will be disastrous. We will talk survival, not cost of living. This was a tweet that was addressing Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria, I want to address Moses Kuria for a second, okay? I don't know if Moses Kuria has Ruto's nudes, okay? I think Moses Kuria has Ruto's nude pics that he's holding and is blackmailing Ruto, because this guy should be off the government. He should be fired by now. I don't know how he still have his position. You saw the interview, not the interview, yeah, the interview that they had at the last week with Citizen TV. It was a total disaster, an embarrassment, okay? But this guy is still the CS of trade. He's not even allowed to in the US. The US delegation doesn't want to meet Moses Kuria. And you can tell, because the guy is reckless how he talks, okay? He doesn't care about the Wananchi's feelings. He's not sensitive to the issues that Wananchi are bringing forth, okay? Every time people talk about, mention the burden that they face, whether it's taxes, whether it's the prices of fuel, Moses Kuria doesn't care. He says, oh, then we should drill in Kenya and find our own. Like, he's just dismissive, and I mean, the contempt in which he responds to the concerns of common Mwananchi is nauseating, okay? And he doesn't care. If he had any decency and responded respectfully to the concerns of most Kenyans, I would have given him some slack. Not slack, but I would give him some, space. Okay? But this guy, the way he responds is like, don't bother the government. We are the government. We're going to tell you, we're going to do what we have to do, and we don't care about your concerns. That is making Mr. Ruto look bad. I don't know if that's how Mr. Ruto feels, but your CS, let me just call them ministers, your cabinet secretaries, your ministers, the people that you have appointed in these dockets, they represent your administration. So if you have this raging lunatic like Moses Kuria responding contemptuously to Wananchi's concerns, it goes back to you, it reflects back to you, Ruto. I would have expected you to reshuffle your cabinet, especially after the disastrous interview that these buffoons had at Citizen TV. And yes, I did call them buffoon, imbecile. Okay? This moronic CS Moses Kuria needs to be fired. I don't know what you're waiting for, Mr. Ruto, President Ruto. As I say, maybe he has your nude pics and is holding you, he's blackmailing you into not firing him. That's the only reason I can think of. But this guy needs to go. I understand you want the Mount Kenya votes because Moses Kuria is the type that when he gets fired, he will not stop. Day and night, he will talk smack about William Ruto, which is okay. You should be okay with that, Ruto. Okay? You should be okay with that. But this guy needs to go. Your cabinet also represents Kenya. If the Americans don't want even to meet him, most people don't want to meet to have a meeting with this Moses Kuria guy because of his vile nature. Okay? It says something and reflects back to you. Same thing with Chelagay. Chelagay is just a sycophant. I understand that. He sees Ruto as his tribesman, so everything Ruto does, he has to, go with it. I understand that, but at least he's not disrespectful. But this Moses Kuria guy, he needs to go. Ruto, if you watch this, or anyone from that cabinet, Moses Kuria needs to be fired yesterday. Okay? So, I don't know. But anyway, let's start with, okay, let's get to that. All right. So there's a guy called Soko, and if you go back to Miguna's tweet on September 15th, there's a guy, he's responding to a guy called Soko Analyst, okay? The guy said, I love David D because he's an honest man. He is only honest. He's the only honest person in this government. We should actually listen to him more instead of attacking him. He has been most consistent in all his engagements and views and opinions. Okay? We are projecting our frustrations on him. I won't continue with that. Okay? But anyway, Miguna says this. Ndi is not honest. If he were, he will have resigned. Why would one serve a government he does not believe in and one he says lied to the people to get elected? Okay. David D, in his defense, he said this. He's an advisor to the president. Okay? So what he tweets his frustrations and what he sees, what trajectory the country is heading to economically. Okay? That's what he tweets. And I explained to you last time in my last live that if you know the implications of structural adjustment program by the IMF, if you understand the implications of it, that leaves David D basically jobless. He's going to be an innocent bystander. Now, he can choose to resign or he can sit there and actually tell the president how it is. He's communicating his communication. He's communicating his frustration with the public on Twitter. Is that the best way to do it? Probably not. Okay? That's where I disagree with David D. Okay? I think as somebody who has been hired by the president, your frustration should be voiced under closed doors, in closed door to the right channels, whether it's the president directly or his secretary or whatever the case is. Go tell the president, and I'm sure he has. Okay, keep that there. Once you resign, you can tell the public what your frustrations are with the president on Twitter. So there is where I kind of disagree with Devin D. But I also defend him in saying that he is mentioning the obvious, stating the obvious. Just because he states the frustrations he faces in his position as the senior most economic advisor to the president does not mean that he wants to resign or he is against this this regime. He actually made it clear that, he mentioned the fact that even Kibaki's government did not turn within a few months. And they also squandered money. They also amassed odious debt. Same with Uhuru's government and now Ruto's government. Okay? So Devin D is not lying per se, okay? Of course, you might feel, Miguna might feel that he's dishonest because he still holds the job. Maybe his intention is not to resign or to lose the post, but he's been really honest, open, transparent with the people who he serves. Because remember, he does not only serve the president, he serves the nation. The president, is a leader of the nation. So he's doing so by addressing the person who's leading the nation and also communicating to the people. Now, communicating with the people through Twitter might not be the best way to do it, but I understand where he's coming from. So I am not so much I'm not so much bothered about him tweeting what he's tweeting. All right. Now, there's another one here that Miguna is. I'll come to it. I'll come to the Odious debt. I'm coming to it because this is what Miguna was also addressing. But I'll come to it. I'm going to the response that he was talking about. Okay, there's another response that is Mr. Miguna, Dr. Miguna was responding to Juma Stephen. Juma Stephen was saying to pay debt, start by confiscating all the resources Uhuru Kenyatta and his CSS looted. You recover about 2 trillion shillings, use that to pay part of the debt. If you can't let people who can do it, do it. Twitter, okay? So basically, Mr. Juma is saying, go after what Mr. Kenyatta, his regime, and his CS, what they looted, go after that money and use that money to pay the debts that we owe the IMF, okay? And Miguna is saying, I only need 6 months to trace and return more than 17 trillion shillings stashed abroad by Kenyatta and Moi families for a start. Additionally, I can assist, identify, and retrieve 2 trillion from other looters like Despot Uhuru Kenyatta, $4 billionaires in sorry, it's a long tweet. It's a long tweet. Sorry. To stars, okay. Additionally, I can assist, identify, and retrieve 2 trillion more from other looters like Despot Uhuru Kenyatta, $4 billionaires in other 6 months. Within 1 year, Kenya will have more than enough to pay off all its foreign and domestic debts, create enough quality jobs, build adequate housing for the homeless, make Kenya food secure, and start us on an industrialization path. Okay? But are those in charge interested? Nah, they prefer taxing Kenyans to death as plunderers continue to steal. Then some of them come here to wail that they have no solutions, that higher taxes, more inflation, more layoffs, and astronomical commodity prices are the only solution, and you find overfed mediocre cheerleaders clapping on X, on Twitter. I couldn't agree more. Perfect. Nicely put. It's okay. He has just hit the nail on the head. That's when I cannot argue with Miguna. Basically, what he's saying, go after these plunderers, these people who have stolen money from Moi regime and his CSAs and ministers back then, like the Biwats and so forth, who stole billions of money, trillions of Kenyan shillings, billions in dollars, okay? Retrieve that money. Go to Kibaki administration. Do the same. Whether it's Kibaki and his ministers. Retrieve that money. Uhuru Kenyatta, go to that. Retrieve all that money, okay? And use it to pay the debt. It's more than enough. What's his name? This senator, Okiya Mtata, told us that this SGR, we have already paid for it. Okay? But the money we paid extra goes to these people's pockets. Because according to him, that money did not even reach Kenya. It was stashed somewhere, which is illegal by itself. So with that tweet, I agree wholeheartedly, 1,000% with Dr. Miguna that we should go for these people. But the problem is, as I mentioned, and this is where I come in, because I've also have wondered. I told you that Ruto will never retrieve this money from the Moi regime, Kibaki regime, Uhuru Kenyatta regime. He will never go after these people. And for a good reason. He also has his hands dirty. His CSAs are also looting as we speak. And look at his history. Look at Ruto's history. Let's not forget about this, okay? He has a checkered past when we're talking about economic crimes, okay? And I mentioned this. He knows, he understands that if he opens that can of worms, okay, he will be putting himself in danger. So, because if he goes for the money that Moi stole, even Jomo Kenyatta stole, Moi stole, Uhuru Kenyatta stole, Kibaki stole, if he goes and retrieves those trillions of shillings that his predecessors stole, the next president that comes in after him, whether it's after 10 years or whatever years, will go for his neck. Because he also has some questions to answer. So that will never happen. So these guys have to cover for each other. But I mentioned in my previous lives and videos, and I've said this before, these guys choose each other. There's a video clip that I'm still trying to find on YouTube of Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta, was saying during 2003 campaigns. And he said, after I finish my 10 years, okay, after I finish my 10 years, Ruto will do 10 years. And then he said, and then Gachag, and then he stopped himself. He was going to say Gachagua, but he stopped himself. Which means this thing has been planned all along. Ruto will do 10 years because if you look at 2027, I don't see who is going to beat Ruto in 2027. As we look at the political landscape right now, who will beat Ruto right now? Name one. I told you Raila is not his competitor. Raila is not going to compete against Ruto. Even if he competes, he will lose. Why? I've maintained that Raila's main job, his controlled opposition. Opposition. Okay? They want to maintain Raila as the guy who is the face of the opposition. Anyone who comes with fresh ideas, who is real opposing the real, who is a real opposer of the status quo, who is not part of this elite political class, shall be either killed, forcefully exiled, and attacked. They will not let that. Raila is the gatekeeper. He fends off any opposition. I mentioned in 2017, okay, when Raila obviously won the election, he had the will of the people. Millions of the people were behind Raila, and they wanted him sworn in. He was sworn in. The next step was to remove Uhuru Kenyatta. But guess what? He went and shook hands with Uhuru Kenyatta, and once he did that, guess who they targeted? Number one, who they targeted and forced out of the country. In fact, they would have killed him. But they knew if they killed him, it would be obvious. It will fall it will be clearly indicate that Uhuru Kenyatta killed him. So they spared his life, but forcefully exiled him. Who was that? Miguna, Dr. Miguna. Why? Of all the opposition guys, why did they choose Miguna as the person who they forcefully exiled? Because Miguna is not part of the club. He's not part of the political elites. Okay? He's not one of them. But Miguna was the real opposition. Because he had his NRM, which was gaining a lot of influence even within even within ODM at the time, the NASA coalition, whatever. Okay? He was taking over this movement, this opposition, these guys, because remember, he's the guy who's maintained that Raila, whether he likes it or not, he won the election and he will be sworn in. And the political elites realized that this guy will hijack this movement because he has a lot of following. Okay? And they said, you know what? For us to protect our interest, we need to get rid of this Miguna guy. So they arrested him and they forcefully removed him from the country. Because even if Raila was to become the president, okay, and Uhuru Kenyatta was to be taken out, okay, by popular revolution, if Raila was to become the president, guess who would have been putting pressure on him? It will be Miguna, because Miguna would have had the people's will with him. And Raila could not stand that. Because if the people's will, because Miguna was very serious about revolution. So if he had the will of the people that he had, the influence that NRM was having, NRM Kenya, not the Museveni one, he would have even taken the presidency away from Raila Odinga if Raila Odinga was to become the president. Okay? He will have dictated how things go. But they wanted, that's why Raila Odinga and Kenyatta met and said, hey, in order for us to protect our interests, because this guy is becoming very influential and is already taking over influence on this ODM part, let's get rid of him. Okay? Let's get rid of the real opposition, a guy who's really opposing this, the status quo, these Western puppets, Western control puppets, like Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, William Ruto. Okay? So they took him out and forcefully exiled him in order to protect their interest. That's where they can continue. So Raila maintains his position as the main opposition side. That's why he had all this mandamano and all this. He creates all this mandamano to maintain his position as the main guy in the opposition. But really, he's not opposing anything. He's not really for change. He just wants to maintain that official opposition position to deter anybody else from taking that whatever, okay, that seat, the proverbial seat. Because right now, if you're blind, if you think about who is the opposition, of course you'll say it's Azimio, okay? Right? That's what you'll think. But if there's is there any movement, any real political movement that's apart from Azimio as a real opposition? No, there is none. It has always been Raila for the past what? He's always been the position. That's why I say this guy is a controlled opposition. He's a guy put there to give you the illusion that there's an opposing party. There's an opposing political party, but in reality, there's none. His job is to maintain, is to keep that position of opposition, to keep away anyone, real opposition, who is not part of the political class, to what? To attack the political elites. That's why I maintain again, that's why these guys, Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, met to make sure they got rid of Miguna, forcefully exiled him. They sedated him, they jailed him, and exiled him to Canada and kept him out for those 5 years. Okay? Now, before he came back, I don't know what deal he made with Ruto. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm pretty sure there was an understanding. Okay? Because since he came back, he hasn't really attacked Ruto directly. But yes, he does criticize him and mentions what needs to be done. Because I think maybe it is understood without even, there's a mutual understanding between him and Ruto that, hey, you cannot attack me. I'm the guy who actually obeyed the court orders and let you back into the country. So without even Ruto mentioning it, I don't know if they had an agreement or not, he doesn't have to mention anything, but there's a clear understanding, mutual understanding that, hey, listen, I'm the guy who brought you back. You cannot attack me. You cannot criticize me. And that's what I'm saying. So he might not attack Ruto directly, but he might feel some type of way, and he's doing that, okay? But he is the really, as of now, you know, people can be bought. I'm not saying he's bought yet, but I'm just saying, of all prominent politicians, and I'm not talking about elitists, I'm talking about any prominent politician, people who their names ring bells. Miguna had the most influence, especially in 2017, okay? They managed to keep him out of the country for all those 5 years or whatever the years it was to the present time, okay? Now he comes back, he came back to Kenya, but you know, like I say, he'll only go easy on Ruto because the Ruto is the guy who brought him back. So regardless of how Ruto is messing up, yes, Miguna will mention the things that are going wrong in this administration, but I don't think he might go after Ruto personally, as he used to, because there's that mutual understanding. Okay? So back to my point, and before I continue, I have about 18 minutes left. There's no real opposition in Kenya. These guys are the same. They're in the same party, part of the political elites. Most of the MPs are, most of the senators are, most of the oppositioner, most of the governors are, and they cover their tracks. That's why I keep on answering this. If Ruto was really, really fighting corruption, if Ruto really had the interest of Kenyans, he could have gone and filed for these odious debts to be paid by individuals that took this money. The Kibaki government, the Uhuru government, the Moi government, they should pay this debt, this odious debt. It's a concept that is recognized in the UN, that you can go tell the United Nations, hey, we cannot pay this debt because it was taken by a rogue government, a government that did not get elected by the people. Congo did it once Mr. What's his name came out, that general, that crazy general that took out Lumumba, Mobutu Sese Seko. Okay, once Mobutu was overthrown, I think in 1999, okay, the Congo people of Zaire, went there and said, we are not paying all this debt because Mobutu is the one who took this debt and we are not responsible for it. So we are not paying it. Okay, and they were forgiven. Okay, but here's something that I want to discuss. Another thing that people don't know. There's something called investor state sorry, I'm coming to it. It's an agreement between the state and a corporation. And this is part of the SAPS, the Structural Adjustment Program, okay? You'll be forced to do this, to sign contracts with corporations. Last live I explained to you this, that IMF is actually an organization. The Bretton Woods is a bunch of industrialists, corporate heads, people who started these powerful corporations. Because nowadays, corporations are more powerful than sovereign nations. I'll tell you that right now, okay? So these people, corporations, sign deals with states, okay? So you guys are tied for years. You're forced to do deals with these corporations. I will give you, it's called ISDS. investor state something settlement. I forgot about. I forgot the whatever. But it's there's a quote where countries, sovereign nations, have taken corporations and argued that, hey, we need to get out of these contracts because the previous regime signed it with it, and the previous regime might have not been democratically elected. Okay, and they enter into these deals that ties the nation for 100 years. You see the fight that's happening in Tanzania right now. So Luhu has been arresting the opposition because the opposition are speaking about a deal that has to do with the ports, okay? Because Dubai wants to take over those ports. And I think they want to sign, or they have signed, a contract that will have Dubai own and control the Tanzanian ports for years. And sometimes these deals can go up to 100 years. You remember the British? The British also have some lands. They had some lands in the coastal area, coastal province in Kenya. That, a deal that was there that were to control that land for 100 years. These are the kind of deals that these people do, okay? So in this investor state disputes settlements, okay? I think that's what the whatever. And you can Google it. You can see cases, corporations versus sovereign nation. I think El Salvador took another corporation there. South Africa also had almost all these countries from Africa and also South America have taken corporations to these courts. And these courts are also formed by the IMF. So you're kind of screwed either way. But there has been victories, okay, where these governments, they come in, the new government. For example, if there was a new government that comes in now after Ruto, and they come in and they tell Ruto, hey, listen, they go to this ISDS and they tell him, hey, listen, this China is controlling our ports. They have this Chinese corporation is controlling our ports. They made a deal with the previous government to control and operate in our ports for the next 100 years. But this government was not democratically elected, okay? So we want this contract rescinded, done with, because these guys were not democratically elected, okay? So we have to undo everything, okay? Then that court will decide if they are to whatever that redo that contract or do away with it, okay? If not, you have to respect it or not, okay? If they don't rescind it, you can choose to do away with it. You can say, okay, China, this Chinese kick out that Chinese corporation. You can cut them out, but guess what? You will not get any funding if you want to, any funding with IMF or World Bank. That's what's going to happen. And any assets that you have outside of your country can be seized by that Chinese corporation, because they'll be like, hey, listen, this deal was going to cost us $5 trillion. So that's guess what we're going to do? Any of your assets that are out there within our jurisdiction shall be seized, and they can sell it or do whatever that is until they get their money back, okay? So it's not just as easy. It's a complicated, protracted process that you have to go through to get out of these deals. That's why I'm telling you this. These puppets that are being installed by these Western puppets, with these Western colonial powers, are really, really draconian deals. They put you down and they sign you down to these contracts for years. And that's how they maintain their power. And part of the contract also is that they'll have to get you will have to allow these Western countries, for example, like the US, to build bases in your country, okay? That's why if you look at Niger, okay, Niger, let's take a good example of Niger. Niger, through the help of Wagner, which is a Russian mercenary group, okay? These special forces military guys, okay? They help the hunters, the military guys, to kick out the French puppet. And once they kick out the French puppet, they ask the French troops to leave. They also ask the American troops to leave, okay? So once they did that, Niger is rich enough where they say, hey, the deal that you made with that puppet does not count. We don't care about that deal. We are starting afresh, okay? Because they are a rich country that can self-sustain themselves. And they're looking at the Russians and the BRICS to do business with them. That's the revolution that's happening in West Africa now, right now. They don't have to That's why they say, the head of Burkina Faso, the president, he said, we don't need IMF. Okay? The president of Kagame has been saying this for years. He has been saying Africa does not need the World Bank and IMF. Okay? We have to get out of that because they put you under contract for years. 150. You'll be surprised if you look at some of them. That's why I want you to read this book. This book is very, very important. Silent Coup. Silent Coup, How Corporations Overthrew Democracy. Corporations have more power than any sovereign nation. It's a very huge cobweb that they put, economic cobweb that ties the country, okay? Because number one, as I told you in the previous book, these guys, the Western powers, because these corporations are the ones who, like I say, they are the same guys who formed these Bretton Woods institutions, okay? That's them. They do not belong to any country. People say, oh, you know, Bretton Woods was formed with Americans and British, whatever. Yeah, their nationality were Brits, but these guys are multinational. They exceed that. They're not limited to just being Americans or British, whatever. These guys can move. They can move to any country. They don't care. That's how much power they have. These are huge corporate powers. All right. So they use these Bretton Woods institutions to tie countries into debt. And once they tie you into debt, they come with this structural adjustment program. And through that, they force you. Have you ever wondered, before I even go on, have you wondered in Kenya, why do we have this electric bicycles, not bikes, okay, electric bikes, scooter, piki, okay? Why is there all of a sudden they're telling us about this electric cars, electric whatever? Why do you think they have that? Why do you think they're pushing that on Kenya? And the same thing is happening in Nigeria. There's electric cars that they were trying to. Why do you think so? Because these two countries, Nigeria and Kenya, and also Ghana and a few others, among others, are going through SAPs, okay? And what happens is they tell them, hey, you have to do business with this electoral company, whether it's Tesla, whether it's whatever, okay? So they tell the government, you have to do business with this electric car company. And that's why you see a huge influx of electric pikis, okay, motor vehicles and all that stuff. And also you see an increase of the electric energy, okay? Because they want to make profit. They want to make profit. So that is it's all interconnected. So just to understand it, let me be clear. Oh my goodness, I have like about 7 minutes before I sign off. But well, yeah. But this is what I wanted to explain. There's a lot here. All right, there's a lot to go through. This is what I want to explain. Okay, very briefly, so you understand what I'm saying. So this is how they do it. Follow me real quick. These guys, they install a puppet, okay? Or if you won democratically, let's say like Ruto. Let's say Ruto won democratically, okay? He won fair and square. They come to Ruto and tell him, hey, listen, congratulations, you won the presidency, but this is how we're going to do it, okay? If you want to maintain your power, this is what you're going to do. You know, the previous administration owes us X, Y, and Z. I see you want to help your country to get out of debt. You can't really have enough money to operate the government. We can give you more loans because these guys don't care about money. They print money. So if you need 5 billion, they'll print 5 billion worth money and they give it to you and you'll pay back in interest, okay? So they tell Ruto, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you more money, but this is what you're going to sign. That you have to let us operate in your country. These 10 corporations have to operate in your country for an X amount of time. It can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, even 100 century, okay? And they'll tell you until you pay that money. Now, Ruto, they know that Ruto is also corrupt. They know that Ruto is corrupt, okay? So they'll tell you, hey, that we don't care. We'll give you this $5 trillion or $5 billion or $500 billion. Spend it how much you want. I don't care if you spend it on your people. I don't care if you personally spend it. Do whatever you want with it. Okay? We don't care about your laws. You do it. We're not going to come for you. We don't care. But failure to do this is what's going to happen. You know, we're going to prop up somebody and they will take you out and we'll take you to ICC because you have a case. Okay? So that's how they tie you in. Okay? And to give you an example why Kenya is being ruled by the Western government, ask yourself, okay, if Raila is this great opposition leader, why is he hanging out with Christopher Kuhn? Okay? I told you, this is it's one group. The opposition and the government at hand. One group. We are ruled by the same person. Don't be fooled. Okay? I have 6 minutes left. I'm about to finish. I was about to finish with Miguna's tweet because there's something that he said that I need to address. Okay? Let me see. Just give me a second. I got 4 minutes. Let's use this 4 minutes wisely here. All right. Where is his next tweet? So again, just to be clear, I agree with Miguna that we should go for this money that was stolen by the previous administration. We should go for it. I agree with that. I agree wholeheartedly. But there's something that he said that I may not have agree with it because he never quite understood the implication. Okay. All right. Let's see. We had global. All right. This is something also he said. My position. Okay, he's been going back and forth with Moses Kuri, I guess. But I'm sorry, guys. I'm just wrapping up. I have about 3-4 minutes, and I wanted to address something that we correct logic attacks. Yeah. All right. I don't know where it's at. Okay, I think he addressed it or whatever. So I'm not gonna address it. But yeah, anyway, to wrap up, what's the solution? Because it's one thing to complain about what's wrong and all this stuff with the IMF and how we cannot pay our money and all that nonsense. It's one thing to say that, but how do we solve that problem? How do we get out of it? I mentioned number one, Ruto is not going to get us out of these debts. He's not. If you think he will, you're living in Mars. He will not get us out of debt. We'll borrow more. The taxes will go higher. The prices of commodities will go higher because, let me tell you, Devin D is no longer his economic advisor. He's taking his economic advice from the IMF. They have to approve anything he does. Any lending, any borrowing, all that. What you grow, what you don't grow, what you sell, what you export, what you import, that is all being controlled by the IMF as of right now. So what is the solution? We have to have a leader who will come in, okay, which is not going to be Ruto, and it's not going to be Raila Odinga. Nobody from the Azimio or for Kenya Kwanza. A leader who is not corrupt, a leader who has integrity, who doesn't have a dirty past of corruption, a leader who can come in and face the elephant in the room. Kenya, we spend a lot of time talking about corruption, fighting corruption, this, corruption, that, but we are not fighting any. We're just going for Mama Mboga. When Mama Mboga steals 2 cents, we go and arrest that Mama Mboga and give her 10 years. But we never faced our historically corrupt politicians, the people who actually put us in this situation in the first place. Okay? These problems did not start yesterday. This started years ago, 20 years ago. Let us go back to Jomo. Let us go back to Moi. Let us remember the work report. Let us go back to Kibaki regime. Let us go back to Uhuru Kenyatta regime. Let us also look at this current regime. All the ministers, all the ministries that misappropriated money. Let's go collect all of that. Hold those people accountable. The records are there at the CBK. Let's audit this. The funny thing, you know, when Okiom Tata wanted to and the senators wanted to audit the debt that we owe, Ichungwa of all the people came up and say, "Oh yeah, we cannot do that. We cannot." He refused. Ichungwa, the guy who was talking, was one of the loudest debes that were making noise, talking about the corruption in Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. Now he does not want the debt to be audited. You wonder why. That's why I keep on telling you, all of these guys are corrupt. Whether it's the parliament, whether it's the National Assembly, whether it's most of the Senate, whether it's the executive, and even judiciary, they're all corrupt. We need a clear cleansing of the system. So what I'm saying is this. Let me go back one more time. As I wrap up, we need a leader who can come in, who will clean up, go back to the work report, go back. Let's have those historical injustice. We have a law in place, the estate law, okay, that has Moi and Kenyatta's name inscribed in the law, that bars them from being taxed. How fair is that? Where is equity? But anyway, again, we need a person who's brave enough, who goes back and look at this historical injustice, okay, whether it regards to human rights violations and economic crimes, the money that these guys have stolen. Kenyatta regime, Jomo Kenyatta regime, Moi regime, Kibaki regime, and Uhuru Kenyatta regime, and the present regime. Collect the money that the regime, when I talk about regime, I mean the CSS, anyone that was involved in government that misappropriated money. It can be done. Let's get that money and pay. First of all, before we pay, we have to take an account, audit the debt, the real debt that we owe, pay that off, and use the money to rebuild our nation. Okay? And any deal that we made with these corporations shall be torn off. Let's look at BRICS. We don't need the West to do business. We can do the business with others, okay? But anyway, I don't want to keep it. It's been an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please, please, please find me on YouTube. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. I look just the way you see me on the screen right there on that where my name is. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. Subscribe, share, like. I go live every week. I mean, every day of the week, at least 1 hour, 30 minutes. You're free to join the live. You can, join me, debate me, agree with me, disagree with me, comment, share, like, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace and blessing, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.